Gemini, welcome to your weekly reading. Let's get started and see what messages we have for Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising positions for the week ahead. Keeping in mind that these are general readings and may not resonate for everyone. So make sure to check out your other placements. And if you're interested in a personal reading, you can find some information on that in the description below. I'm actually offering a little promotion for the month of May, so it's a good time to get a reading. All right, my friends, let's start. One more shuffle here for Gemini. We're going to jump right into the tarot cards with a Celtic cross. Let's get started. Okay, where is Gemini at this week? Okay, so Gemini, first card out is this Three of Cups in reverse, seeing the Knight of Cups and the Page of Cups. So very emotional week. Feels like this could be a week where you're not feeling very confident or trusting about some folks, some relationships. Three of Cups in reverse to me indicates the presence of sort of a distrusting energy surrounding people, relationships with others. So you might be struggling with some relationships this week. Now, these could be relationships. I think of the Three of Cups as being close relationships. So this could be relationships with family. This could be relationships with good friends. I don't often see this as being intimate relationships. There's other cards for that, but for me, this is one where you may be feeling like the community that you felt very close to at one point, now you don't feel that way anymore. You might be feeling like something's off, and it's interesting to see the Knight of Cups coming through in reverse with that as well as your obstacle, because it may be that you have stopped being open with these folks, right? The Knight of Cups, to me, Knights are about movement, right? And so the Knight of Cups moves according to emotion, dreams, wanting to realize a dream, wanting to tap into the true emotional essence of a situation and sort of move towards that. You know what I mean? Very much an emotional, sensitive time when we see the Knight of Cups. Now, when we see him in reverse, to me, that can indicate that something is blocking the expression of emotion. Something is blocking the movement, the expression of emotion. And so that could be you, or that could be these individuals. That might be what you're picking up on. But because the Knight is landing in the spot of obstacles, it kind of makes me think that the obstacle itself is disingenuous emotion. We're going to uncover whose emotions those are by looking at the rest of the reading. But seeing the Page of Cups in reverse as what's sort of on your conscious mind tells me that right now you're sort of focused on the whole vibe of these relationships is calling some doubt into your mind, right? Like you're starting to become there is an energy of being overly sensitive to something here. And because it's a page, it's a young sort of emotional maturity. So when we see the page, regardless of our age, we might be sitting in a place of emotional sort of, I don't like to say the word immaturity because I don't want to upset anybody, but that's almost what it is. Like, you know, when, let's say, someone in our friend group leaves us out of something, and then we end up feeling really rejected, and we get into a place where we maybe feel like, well, nobody likes me, and I guess they don't like me anymore, and that might be an expression of this emotional immaturity that I'm labeling as emotional immaturity. But it's almost a signal to me that there's something here that's not being expressed. So it's not a criticism, because I think we can all fall into this regardless of our age and our experience. We can all fall into this. It's almost a time of vulnerability. I think maybe that's a better word, in that we're experiencing intense emotional vulnerability, and we're not expressing it in a way that serves us. when we see the Knight in reverse. And it seems to be impacting relationships, or the relationships are triggering this. So right now, Gemini, you might be in a state of relationships that are sort of not serving your highest expression of emotion right now, and you're not expressing your emotions. You might be keeping it all bottled up, which doesn't help anybody, actually. Now, seeing the Ten of Pentacles on the bottom here is interesting, because in the context of this reading, that tells me this could be family. So for some of you, these individuals that are triggering this emotion, they're family members, and they are a part of your foundation, which is Ten of Pentacles to me is part of the family unit here. So that's interesting. That sort of gives us a clue as to who these individuals are for you. They may be family members, they may be siblings, they may be parents. It could be even like your children are triggering something in you right now that's making you feel rejected. Like sometimes, I speak to my friends that are parents, and they'll tell me how their children said something like, you're the worst dad ever, or you're the meanest mom ever, and it breaks their hearts, right? And I'm like, you can't take that serious. Like they were probably upset because you said no to something. And so then they, because of this state of emotional lack of maturity in the emotions, they say things that are hurtful. But it's amazing because it does cut deep, right? Sensitive emotions where you're taking in the feedback from someone you love, and then you integrate that and you feel bad about yourself. So it's interesting. And this Ten of Pentacles also shows me that whatever's going on here is impacting you on a level of identity and security. So this is intriguing. Someone is triggering this. Let's look at the past energy leading up to this. Previous energies leading up to this. We see the Empress in reverse. Wow. So for some of you, this involves your mother. That's not going to work with everyone, but for some of you, this is about a mother figure. And it may be that when you were growing up, you had sort of observed things in your mother that now you observe in yourself. And that might be creating some emotional sensitivity and vulnerability to the way other people receive you. So we're looking at a mother wound potentially here. We're looking at a family dynamic that is playing out in the present, but it feels like its origins are in the past. And it may have involved a mother for some of you. Very interesting. So, if this is resonating for you, look at the relationship you have with your mother, or that you had with your mother. And how does that relationship impact you in the present moment? Is it affecting relationships? Is it affecting sibling relationships, friendship relationships, relationships with, people in general? And it's interesting. How is it affecting you to the core of your identity, your sense of security and belonging, which is that Ten of Pentacles for me in this reading? Let's see upcoming energy. What's this affecting in the upcoming energy? Chariot in reverse. So upcoming energy is stuck because this needs to get addressed. So seeing the Chariot in reverse is often an indication to me that something is stuck, because when you sort of imagine this chariot racing away from the city, if it's in reverse, that to me suggests that something's wrong with the operation of the chariot. Maybe the horses need a break, or one of the wheels is broken or out of balance, or the driver himself is unsure of the direction. So there's almost a standstill or a stuck energy when I see the Chariot in reverse. The Chariot also represents Cancer energy, and so there may be, again, this sort of vulnerability that is coming through, that is creating doubt in terms of direction. And that doubt, if direction, could be related to some family origin story involving someone's mother, maybe seeing the example of the mother's life has left you feeling like you're not sure which way to go, or it's left you unable to continue with certain relationships. So certain relationships might have been stuck because of something to do with your relationship with your mother, or someone who had a mother-like influence on you. You know, as I was saying mother, I kept thinking, well, it might not be their actual mother. It could be someone who had that kind of influence on them, where they were very maternal and maybe not so maternal. Do you know what I mean? Like, it could have been a person who represented an energy of a mother, but didn't sort of fit into the archetype of a mother in the light, but maybe the shadow archetype of a mother. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting. Someone may need to nurture themselves because they didn't receive some nurturing from someone in a mother-like position, or their actual mother. And it's interesting because look who's on the bottom of the deck in reverse, the Emperor. So, you know, I keep talking mother, 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 but this could have also involved a father wound. This is a family situation. This is like inner child healing. You could be this Page of Cups who feels very overly vulnerable right now, feels vulnerable and sensitive because of something to do with their childhood coming through their present moment and making them feel stuck. Very intriguing. Let's see how Gemini sees themselves in this situation. 10 of Swords in reverse. Wow. It's a graphic image on this card, right? Like when you see the 10 of Swords, I was doing a reading for someone the other day who's unfamiliar with tarot, and when this card came up, they actually were very like, what does that mean? This card is horrifying, you know, in its appearance. And so, you know, seeing it in the reverse is to me an indication that something wounded you and you didn't see it coming, or you weren't prepared for it, maybe because it was when you were a child, and now you're finally ready to get up from this. You're finally ready to walk away from this narrative that says, I'm helpless, I'm a victim, you know, I didn't receive the nurturing I needed from my parents. It's like you're taking your childhood story and you're saying, I'm no longer going to let this narrative keep me stuck. I'm going to stay in the present where I can reparent myself, in a sense. And the 10 of Swords in reverse really says to me that you're ready to get up from something that was painful and that had you down for a while. You know, like it may have kept you down for a while, but now you're ready to stand up from it and not let this narrative rule you anymore. And that you don't want to see it leave you in a place of a stalemate or where you're not moving forward in the future. So it's interesting. Right now, you may still see yourself as being sort of pinned to the snow by these swords, but because it's in reverse, I feel like the worst of it's over. You know what I mean? Like if it was upright, I'd say you're still sort of in the throes of this. But because it's reversed, it makes me feel like the worst is over for you here, Gemini, and it's in the past. Bottom of the deck is the 6 of Swords, which is a time of moving away from something. Wounded warrior, leaving behind the moments of defeat, pain, and, you know, this sort of narrative from the past, leaving it behind, getting into the canoe with just the clothes on your back and leaving for a new coastline. And so I think that's the energy here. You're ready for that. And how other people see you is the Ace of Swords in reverse, which is interesting because the Ace of Swords in reverse says that you're holding a truth in. And that was the same energy we felt with the Knight of Cups. You're not expressing your emotions and you're not speaking your truth. So, you know, this makes me feel like someone has a family dynamic from the past when they were a child and they're still not able to speak their truth. They're getting ready to. They're getting ready to get up from this and sort of leave this narrative in the past and move away from it. But right now, they're still holding on to their truth. This is maybe impacting your ability to communicate with others. This is impacting your ability to form deep relationships with others. This is is sort of so grounded in your family origin story that it's become enmeshed with you, and it's almost like you have to break free from that and realize that story was in the past, and by keeping it within you through the Knight of Cups and the Ace of Swords both in reverse, you can only have the expression of that wounded child, which is, initially I was saying it was emotional immaturity, but actually I think a better description is that wounded inner child. And a wounded inner child, at any age, will come through as sort of having these moments of suppressed emotion that come out in sort of, again, this emotionally sort of vulnerable way. And so it's very interesting here. You're holding in the truth about how you really feel about things, and it's starting to impact your relationships. And I think you see that, you're recognizing that, and you see that it's making you stuck. So what is the hope and fear around this dynamic? Let's see, we see the Strength card coming out. Look at that. There's your inner child card, the Six of Cups. So your hopes and fears here surround having the inner strength to heal that inner child and stay balanced in the present moment. Seeing Temperance in reverse tells me that there's a part of you that hopes and desires to leave that story in the past, to heal that inner child and bring balance to the present moment. But there's also this fear that says, what if I can't? What if I can't do it? But seeing Strength upright says that you do have the inner strength for this, and that this whole narrative could be centered around you realizing that you have the inner strength. That could be why all of this happened, so that you would realize one day that actually you have the inner strength to overcome anything and leave behind any narrative from the past. And now the bottom of the deck is the Death card in reverse. And so that really tells me this could be life-changing. This could be a big moment of realization for you if you allow it to be, which is why it's in reverse. Now let's see the outcome here. What's the outcome of this energy, this reading, possible outcome for Gemini? Okay, so the possible outcomes are interesting. We see the Eight of Swords. This is self-imposed restriction. That is one outcome. You got two outcome cards. And so one outcome is that you stay in this sort of state of self-imposed restriction, and you don't sort of allow this energy to heal, and you move past it. So you could stay here where you're holding your emotions within, you're holding your truth within, and you're sort of, again, this is self-imposed restriction. It's not restriction that's outside of your control. You're in control of this. And so there is an overthinking, there is an overanalyzing, there is a fear of consequence here. And so seeing the Nine of Pentacles come out in reverse with it says to me that the other way this could go, in terms of if you sort of allow yourself to evaluate the situation and evaluate the relationships you have with family, with yourself, even with material success. Because this could be manifesting as you sort of being a bit of a workaholic. This could be manifesting as you sort of seeing that money is the only indication of success, and that in order to be successful, you have to have lots of things to show that success, that success to you has become something that is all about material stability. And sort of that might have been the family value that created some of this for you, right? So it's interesting because I feel like, we're seeing here the Knight of Swords in reverse on the bottom of the deck, which tells me that you may need to be really flexible with how you perceive things moving forward, because your thoughts and your perceptions are the initial stage of how you impact your emotions, right? Like whatever you think and focus on impacts your emotions, which impacts your nervous system, which impacts your energy, which impacts what you're likely to perceive moving forward, right? And so seeing the King of Swords in reverse says, it's time to be more flexible. It's time to be more temperate. It's time to tap into that inner strength and your personal truth and to stand up for yourself in these past narratives where you may have just been silent and kept your feelings and thoughts to yourself, which ended up creating this sort of overthinking, self-imposed restriction where your focus might have been just on the outward appearance as opposed to the inward emotional quality of your thoughts and feelings. Wow, what an interesting reading for you this week, Gemini. So much food for thought here about whether or not you're expressing your emotions and thoughts in a genuine way, or if everything is getting filtered through this past family story. Look at that. Your oracle card is new life. You have an opportunity here to change things, to break a family cycle. You're the black sheep. And I love that because the black sheep is the one who breaks the family cycle. The black sheep is the one that has the experience and says, I'm not going to continue this pattern moving forward. I will be the one to end this pattern. And I think you are. You are in the perfect position to do that, to be the one that breaks the cycle and has a new life, not one that continues this cycle, because I think you've experienced being stuck by it. So you're like in this perfect position to actually be the one to break the cycle. Wow, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me for this reading, Gemini. It's been an amazing reading. Really enjoyed the energy here. And I'm sending you so much love. And I look forward to reading for you again soon, my friends. Take care.